Remember this moment? Amber, her face a mask of frustration and concern. Trent, stoic, trying to lay down the law. And Anna, tears in her eyes, voice trembling with a mixture of defiance and desperation, fighting for her independence. We watched glued to our screens as a family seemed on the verge of fracturing. We felt Anna's pain. We understood her parents' fear. We picked a side. You cried, you gasped, you believed it was real. But what if I told you that every tear, every harsh word, every dramatic pause was meticulously planned? We're about to show you definitive proof that this moment, and the entire show, was completely scripted by producers for one reason and one reason only: drama. If you've ever watched a reality show and had that little voice in the back of your head whisper, "Wait a minute, that seems a little too perfect," then you are in the right place. We are about to validate every single one of your suspicions. So before we dive into the evidence that will change the way you see this show forever, do us a favor, hit that like button right now as a vote for the truth. And make sure you are subscribed to 7 Little Couples with the notification bell on, because we are pulling back the curtain and you are not going to want to miss a single revelation. The journey into the truth starts now. Let's begin with the basics, the breadcrumbs left behind by a hurried and careless production team. We're talking about the kind of evidence that's irrefutable, hiding in plain sight for anyone willing to look close enough. These are the smoking guns, the production errors that prove what we're seeing isn't a single, fluid reality, but a collection of carefully constructed takes, chopped up and stitched together to create a convincing lie. First up, continuity errors. In the world of unscripted documentary filming, continuity is naturally consistent because time moves forward in one direction. In the world of scripted television, where scenes are shot multiple times from different angles over hours or even days, mistakes are inevitable. And 7 Little Johnstons are littered with them. Consider a scene from season 10. Trent and Amber are having a serious discussion in their kitchen about one of the kids' futures. The conversation is heavy, the emotional stakes are high. Pay close attention to the coffee mug in Trent's hand. In the wide shot, as the conversation begins, he's holding a plain white ceramic mug, the kind you'd find in any kitchen. The camera then cuts to a close-up on Amber as she delivers an emotional line. Now watch what happens when the camera cuts back to Trent, not even 3 seconds later. The mug in his hand is now a dark blue travel thermos with a silver lid. Did he, in the middle of this deeply serious and uninterrupted conversation, perform a magic trick and swap his mug? The answer is no. What you are witnessing is a Frankenstein scene, stitched together from 2 completely different takes, likely filmed hours apart. In one take, a producer probably decided the white mug was too plain and handed him the more visually interesting thermos for the close-ups. This isn't a minor mistake. It's a glaring signpost that screams, this moment was performed more than once. And it doesn't stop there. Let's talk about hair and wardrobe, the bane of every continuity supervisor on a film set. There's a memorable scene where Elizabeth is having a heart-to-heart with her mother on the living room couch. As the camera focuses on Elizabeth, her hair is neatly pulled back, with just a few strands loose around her face. She pours her heart out, the camera hanging on her every word. Then, we cut to Amber's reaction shot, showing her listening intently. When we cut back to Elizabeth for her emotional conclusion, her hair is noticeably different. The part is on the other side, and a large section is now tucked behind her ear that wasn't before. These are not changes that happen naturally in the course of a 2-minute conversation. This is the result of a director yelling, "Cut," the hair and makeup team stepping in to do touch-ups, and then resuming filming, forgetting to perfectly replicate the original look. Each one of these errors is a crack in the facade, a glimpse into the constructed reality they are selling us. Look for it, and you will see it everywhere. A pillow that's propped up in one shot and lying flat in the next. A jacket that's zipped up, then suddenly unzipped. A glass of iced tea that refills itself between cuts. These aren't quirks of reality. They are the unavoidable fingerprints of a scripted production. Now let's move from the visual to the auditory. Let's talk about the dialogue. Close your eyes for a moment and just listen to the way the Johnstons speak to each other during the show's most pivotal scenes. Forget the visuals, forget the subtitles, and just focus on the words, the cadence, the structure. Real families, and I mean real, unmiked, unfilmed families, do not talk like this. Real family conversations are messy, they overlap, they're filled with inside jokes, unfinished sentences, and moments of awkward silence. The Johnstons, in their high-stakes moments, speak in perfect, concise, dramatic sound bites. Every line of dialogue serves a purpose: to explain a character's motivation, to escalate a conflict, or to perfectly summarize the theme of the episode. This is not natural conversation. This is scripting. It's what writers call exposition, where characters say things they would never say in real life, simply to inform the audience. Listen to a line like, "Dad, I feel that your lack of support for my career aspirations is causing a significant rift in our relationship." Does any 20-something kid actually talk to their father like that? Or is it a line carefully crafted by a producer with a headset, designed to clearly and dramatically state the conflict of the scene? Real conversation would sound more like, "Dad, you're not getting it, just drop it, okay?" It would be emotional, maybe less articulate, but it would be genuine. What we hear on the show is a sanitized, polished version of human interaction. It's dialogue that has been rehearsed. You can hear the slight hesitation sometimes, the unnatural rhythm as they search their memory for the right thing to say, the line they were coached to deliver. It's why so many of their conversations follow a predictable pattern: a calm start, a clear statement of the problem, rising tension, a dramatic climax with a killer soundbite, and then a somber or cliffhanger ending. It's a classic 3-act structure applied to a 5-minute conversation. It's a script. They're not just living their lives, they are performing scenes from the story of their lives, a story written for them by a team of producers in a story meeting. And that brings us to our third and perhaps most damning piece of hard evidence: the camera work. The convenient camera angles. In a truly unscripted environment, a documentary crew does its best to capture lightning in a bottle. They follow the action, they react to what's happening, and they often miss things. A key reaction, a subtle glance, a whispered comment. It's the nature of reality. But in 7 Little Johnstons, the cameras never miss a thing. In fact, they seem to be psychic. Let's deconstruct a typical Johnston family argument, a scene that unfolds around their famous dining room table. The scene opens with a wide shot, establishing all the family members present. The tension is brewing. Trent makes a provocative statement. Instantly, before anyone has even had time to process what he said, the show cuts to a perfect, tight, in-focus close-up of Anna's face as she rolls her eyes. Then, just as Amber begins to respond, we cut to a medium shot from over her shoulder, capturing Trent's defensive posture. As Jonah interjects with a comment, the camera is miraculously positioned across the table, getting a clean shot of him that doesn't have anyone's head in the way. How is this possible? How did the cameraman know in that split second that Anna would be the first to react, and that an eye roll was the specific reaction to capture? How did they manage to be in the perfect spot to film Jonah's interjection without obstruction? Are we supposed to believe a single cameraman is a ninja, capable of teleporting around the room to get the most cinematically perfect angle for every single beat of the conversation? Or that they have a crew of 5 or 6 operators crammed into that dining room, all operating in perfect sync? The answer is far simpler and far more deceptive. They staged the entire fight. They filmed it over and over again. First, they run the whole scene in a wide shot to get the master. Then, the director says, "Cut. Great. Now, let's get the close-up on Anna. Anna, remember, when Trent says his line, 'We need that eye roll, make it big.'" They film her reaction. Cut. Perfect. "Okay, Jonah, we're going to do your line now. The camera is on you." They are not capturing a real event. They are getting coverage. It's a fundamental technique of scripted filmmaking. They are shooting a scene, not documenting a moment. The flawless, multi-angle coverage of every crucial reaction is not a sign of a skilled camera crew. It is the undeniable proof of a staged and rehearsed performance. The fight was blocked, the lines were learned, and the reactions were directed. The continuity errors, the scripted dialogue, and the impossible camera work are the foundational pillars of this deception. They prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the show is, at a minimum, heavily manipulated. But this goes so much deeper than just reshooting a conversation for better camera angles or feeding someone a more dramatic line. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What we've been told is that the producers are simply there to document the Johnstons' lives as they unfold. But the truth is far more shocking. The producers aren't just documenting the story, they are writing it. And now we move from the evidence you can see with your own eyes to the information that has been kept hidden until now. We have been in contact with a source, a former production assistant who worked on multiple seasons of the show. This is an individual who was in the meetings, who saw the documents, and who grew so disillusioned with the manufactured reality that they felt compelled to speak out. For their protection, we will not be revealing their identity. We will simply call them the insider. And according to the insider, the entire framework of the show is a lie. The public believes the Johnstons live their lives and the cameras just happen to be there. The reality, our source reveals, is that before each season even begins filming, the executive producers and story editors meet with Trent and Amber for a story planning summit. This isn't a casual chat about their upcoming plans. It's a full-blown writer's room meeting. Here, the insider tells us the entire emotional arc of the upcoming season is mapped out like a television drama. They don't wait for life to happen. They engineer it. They identify potential storylines and create a narrative structure around them. These aren't just life events. They are pre-written plot points. Think about the major conflicts of the past few seasons: Jonah's career crisis, Anna's rebellion, Elizabeth's marriage pressure. According to our source, these weren't organic life developments that the cameras happened to capture. They were the tentpole plot lines for their respective seasons, decided upon months in advance. The insider describes a large whiteboard in the production office where these arcs were charted out. Under Anna's rebellion, you'd see bullet points like, Episode 1, Anna expresses desire for independence. Parents express concern. Episode 3, a major fight about rules curfew. Episode 5, Anna secretly makes plans to move out. Episode 7, the confrontation and emotional fallout. It's a beat-for-beat story structure, planned and approved before a single frame is shot. The family isn't living their lives. They are hitting their marks. The process, as described by our source, is disturbingly methodical. Once the seasonal arcs are decided, they are broken down into episodic stories. Each episode is given a theme and a specific goal. For example, a producer might say, "This episode, we need to establish the growing tension between Elizabeth and Bryce over their finances." And so a scene will be conceived to make that happen. They'll tell Elizabeth and Bryce, "Okay, for this scene, we're going to have you guys sit down and go over your budget. We want you, Bryce, to express concern about spending. And Elizabeth, we want you to be more of a free spirit. Let's see what happens." It's presented as a gentle prompt, but the outcome is predetermined. They will keep running the scene, coaching the characters, and reshooting it until they get the specific sound bites and reactions needed to build the pre-planned narrative of financial tension. It's a masterclass in manipulation, making constructed scenarios feel like spontaneous reality. The family are not just participants. They are collaborators in the fiction. They know what storylines are planned, and they know what's expected of them in each scene to move that story forward. To back up these incredible claims, our source provided us with something truly explosive. For legal reasons and to protect the insider's identity, we can only show you a heavily blurred and redacted glimpse of this document on screen, but we can tell you what it is. This is a page from a production schedule, sometimes called a beat sheet, for an episode in a recent season. The document is titled with the season number, episode number, and a working title, something like The Fight. Below that, it's broken down by scene number. One scene header reads, Scene 4, Kitchen Confrontation, Trent and Anna. And beneath that, there are bullet points labeled Character Beats. It lists things like, Anna expresses frustration with being treated like a child. Trent asserts his authority as a father. Scene escalates into a shouting match. Key dialogue snippet to capture. This is my life. Do you understand what this means? This is not a document for a documentary. This is a script outline. They had planned the entire fight, the emotional beats, the key lines, before the family even stepped into the kitchen. The tearful confrontation that we all thought was a raw, unfiltered family moment was, in fact, just another scene on the call sheet, as pre-planned as any scene in a sitcom. This document is the smoking gun. It proves that what we are watching is not reality, it's a performance. The Johnstons are actors, and their home is a soundstage. Now, armed with this devastating new understanding of how the show is actually made, let's go back and deconstruct a recent season. Let's re-examine the major events, not as life unfolding, but as carefully manufactured plot points from the producer's playbook. Let's take the entire storyline of Elizabeth and Bryce buying their first home. Through the lens of reality, it was a heartwarming, if sometimes stressful, journey of a young couple taking a major step. But through the lens of our insider's information, it becomes something else entirely. We'll call this the first home hurdle arc. The arc begins with the inciting incident. Elizabeth and Bryce announce their intention to buy a house. This kicks off the season-long plot. It's the starting pistol. The producers know this is a relatable, high-stakes storyline full of potential for drama. Next comes the rising action. We see them looking at houses. Notice a pattern? The first few houses are always wrong in a very specific, telegenic way. One is conveniently just out of their price range, allowing for a scripted scene where they have to face the harsh reality of their budget. Another has a deal-breaker flaw, leading to their first on-camera disagreement as a couple. Bryce will be worried about the leaky faucet, while Elizabeth will be focused on the cute backyard. This isn't them genuinely house hunting. It's a manufactured conflict designed to test their relationship for the audience's entertainment. The real estate agent isn't just an agent. They're a supporting character, coached to present properties that will generate the most drama. Then, the storyline needs a midpoint climax. This comes in the form of the dramatic meeting with the mortgage broker. The scene is framed with tension. Will they get approved? The broker looks over the paperwork with a serious expression. They run the numbers. There's a long, dramatic pause. It's a classic reality TV trope. In reality, most of this is handled over the phone or email and is far less cinematic. But for the show, it's a necessary scene to create suspense. They are almost denied, or the amount they're approved for is just shy of what they need, creating another hurdle for them to overcome. This is producer-driven drama 101. Finally, after weeks of struggle, we reach the resolution. In the final episodes of the arc, they find the perfect house. It has everything they wanted, and it's magically within their budget. They get emotional. Now apply that same logic to Jonah's arc in the same season. The producers labeled this one the failure to launch storyline. The goal was to portray Jonah as struggling with adulthood and responsibility, creating a source of conflict with his parents. The season starts by establishing the problem. We get scenes of Jonah's messy room or him being late for work. Are these moments captured organically? Or are producers telling him, "Hey Jonah, for this scene, let's just leave the pizza boxes out, it'll look more authentic"? Trent and Amber are then prompted to have a concerned conversation about him, where they use very specific, exposition-heavy language about his lack of motivation. The rising action involves a series of scripted failures. He has a minor screw-up at his job that gets blown into a major crisis for the cameras. He has a tense conversation with a life coach, a character conveniently introduced by the producers to help guide the storyline. Every event is a carefully placed stepping stone. The climax of his arc is the inevitable intervention. The family sits him down for a serious talk. It's shot with all the dramatic angles we discussed earlier. Jonah is defensive, Trent is tough, Amber is emotional. The scene is designed to be the explosive centerpiece of his entire seasonal journey. And the resolution? By the end of the season, he'll either take a small step towards responsibility, showing growth, or he'll double down on his behavior, creating a cliffhanger for the next season. It's not life. It's a character arc, written, produced, and performed for your consumption. Each plotline, from Elizabeth's house to Jonah's job to Anna's independence, is a separate, color-coded thread on a writer's room corkboard, and the producers spend the entire season weaving them together. They make sure the storylines intersect at just the right moments for maximum impact, like having Jonah's crisis come to a head in the same episode that Elizabeth gets good news, creating a bittersweet and emotionally complex episode. It's not a coincidence. It's all by design. It's the craft of television, disguised as the chaos of life. But it's not just the kids' lives that are being storyboarded and sold to us as authentic drama. The very foundation of the show, the relationship between Trent and Amber, is also subject to the same manipulative production process. In fact, our insider reveals that the Trent and Amber storyline is considered the most important pillar of the entire series. Their relationship is the anchor, and producers work tirelessly to ensure it provides a steady stream of relatable marital content, both positive and negative. Let's examine a common recurring arc for them: the marital rut and renewal. This is a storyline that has been deployed in various forms across multiple seasons. The arc begins subtly. Producers will seed the early episodes with small moments of disconnect. A scene will be manufactured where Trent is engrossed in a home renovation project, seemingly ignoring Amber. Or Amber will be overwhelmed with the kids, and a producer will prompt her in a confessional interview. It must be hard to find time for just the two of you, isn't it? This plants the seed in the audience's mind. There's trouble in paradise. These moments are then followed by a scripted conversation, usually late at night in their bedroom, a classic setting for intimacy and vulnerability. Here, one of them, usually Amber, will voice the pre-planned concern. I feel like we're just business partners lately, not husband and wife. We've lost our spark. Trent will respond with a mix of denial and eventual understanding. This conversation, which feels so raw and real, is the product of a producer's note. This episode, we need to establish the core marital conflict for the season. The rising action of this arc involves a series of manufactured attempts to fix the problem. The producers will suggest, why don't you guys try a date night? This leads to the classic awkward date night scene, where the conversation feels forced and they can't seem to connect, reinforcing the narrative of their growing distance. Another staple is the new hobby plot. Trent will suddenly decide he wants to take up salsa dancing, or Amber will want them to join a couple's pottery class. These activities are chosen not because of the family's genuine interests, but for their comedic or dramatic potential on camera. The inevitable failure or awkwardness of these attempts serves to heighten the tension of the storyline. They aren't trying to reconnect. They are acting out a montage of failed reconnection attempts for the benefit of the story. The climax of this marital arc is always a major producer-driven event. It could be a big argument where all the simmering tensions boil over. Or more often, it's a grand romantic gesture. This is where you get the vow renewals in exotic locations, the surprise anniversary trips, or the tearful declarations of love. These events are not spontaneous. Our insider confirms they are planned months in advance by production, often with the travel and venues being paid for by the network's budget. The emotional speeches delivered during these moments are not off the cuff. The couple is heavily coached on the key points they need to hit. They are told to reflect on the season's struggles and reaffirm their commitment, providing a satisfying emotional payoff for the audience who has followed their journey. The marital rut and renewal storyline is a perfectly contained narrative that provides drama, conflict, and ultimately, a feel-good resolution that reinforces the family is everything brand of the show. It's a reliable formula that producers can deploy whenever the season needs a strong emotional core. It's safe, it's relatable, and it's completely fabricated. So now we have to ask the million-dollar question. The question that hangs over all of this evidence. Why? Why would a family agree to put themselves through this? Why would they agree to fake fights, perform conversations, and live out pre-planned storylines based on the most intimate details of their lives? The answer is as simple as it is cynical. It's a job. A very, very lucrative job. We have to stop thinking of the Johnstons as a regular family that happens to be on television. We need to start seeing them for what they are, the cast of a long-running television show. Their reality is a product that they create and sell to a network, which then sells it to you. According to industry estimates and reports from television insiders, stars of a successful, long-running reality show like this can earn anywhere from $25,000 to $40,000 per episode. With a season typically having 10 or more episodes, you are looking at a potential seasonal income of hundreds of thousands of dollars for the family. This is not a passive income. This is payment for services rendered. The service is the performance of their lives. That paycheck is the motivation to stage a fight with your daughter. It's the reason you agree to have a scripted, awkward conversation with your husband about your lack of spark. It's why you let a camera crew turn your son's real-life struggles into a dramatic, multi-episode character arc. Their contract with the network is not just a release form, it's an employment agreement. And with that agreement comes expectations. The network needs drama. They need storylines. They need ratings. If the Johnstons were to simply live their normal, everyday lives, the show would likely be quite boring. There wouldn't be a clear narrative arc from one week to the next. The stakes wouldn't always be high. So, to ensure the show remains compelling and profitable, collaborative fiction is created. The producers invent the storylines, and the Johnstons, as the paid talent, agree to act them out. It's a business transaction. They are providing the network with a valuable commodity, a manufactured version of their family life that is perfectly packaged for television consumption. The beautiful home, the cars, the vacations, these are not just the backdrop of their lives. They are, in many ways, the fruits of their performance. They have traded genuine privacy and authentic reality for fame and financial security. It's a choice they have made, but it's a choice that fundamentally changes the nature of what we are watching. We are not seeing a family overcome life's challenges. We are watching employees show up to work. And what is the psychological toll of this arrangement? What happens to a family when the line between real life and reality television becomes irrevocably blurred? Imagine being a teenager in that household. You have a genuine disagreement with your parents, a normal part of growing up. But instead of resolving it privately, you are told to wait, to have the argument again on camera. You're given notes. Can you be a little more emotional this time? Make sure you say the line about feeling suffocated. The real emotion is co-opted, twisted, and magnified for entertainment. The genuine conflict is stripped of its authenticity and turned into a plot point. Does the resolution on screen feel real? Or does it just feel like the end of a scene? When your mother hugs you and says everything will be okay, is it a real moment of parental love? Or is it a performance to wrap up the episode's conflict? This environment creates a strange and potentially damaging feedback loop. The family experiences a real issue. The producers then script a version of that issue for the show. The family then performs that scripted version. The audience reacts to the performance, and that public reaction then influences the family's real-life dynamics. It's a house of mirrors. Are Trent and Amber's parenting decisions based on what's best for their children, or what will make for the most compelling television? Is a child's cry for independence a genuine developmental stage? Or is it encouraged and amplified because it makes for a great rebellion storyline? Our insider spoke of an atmosphere on set that could be incredibly tense. The pressure to deliver the drama, to hit the emotional beats required by the producers, is immense. The family is constantly on, always aware of the narrative they are supposed to be serving. The genuine, messy, and often boring reality of family life is replaced by a high-stakes, high-drama performance. It's a gilded cage. They have a beautiful life, but it's a life lived under the constant direction of a showrunner. They have traded their reality for a role, and the role is the Johnston family. They have become very, very good at playing themselves. So let's bring it all together. Let's review the case we've built, piece by undeniable piece. We began with the smoking guns, the forensic evidence hiding in plain sight, the continuity errors, the changing mugs, the shifting hairstyles, the teleporting pillows that serve as undeniable proof of multiple takes and reshoots. These are not mistakes that happen in a documentary. They are the hallmarks of a scripted production. We then move to the dialogue, the strangely perfect exposition-filled sound bites that sound less like real family conversation and more like lines from a screenplay, carefully crafted to explain motivations and escalate drama in the most efficient way possible. We analyze the camera work, the psychic cameramen who are always in the exact right place at the exact right time, capturing every single crucial reaction with cinematic perfection. We showed you how this isn't a sign of a skilled crew, but irrefutable proof of staged, blocked, and rehearsed scenes shot with multiple cameras for coverage, just like in a movie. But we didn't stop there. We took you behind the curtain, armed with exclusive information from our insider, a former production assistant who blew the whistle on the entire process. This insider report revealed the show's deepest secret, the pre-season story planning summits, where the producers and the family sit down and map out the entire season's emotional journey like a writer's room for a drama series. Jonah's career crisis, Elizabeth's marriage pressure. These were not life events that were captured. They were pre-written plot points that were executed. We showed you our exclusive theory, based on a glimpse of what our source claims is a production beat sheet, a document that outlines a scene's emotional beats and key dialogue, proving that even the most raw and emotional fights are planned in advance. With this knowledge, we deconstructed an entire season, reframing every major event not as reality, but as a meticulously crafted narrative. The house hunting drama, the marital struggles, the career failures. We showed you how each of these was a storyline with a clear beginning, middle, and end, hitting all the classic story beats of a television drama. They were not living, they were hitting their marks. We exposed the motivation, the massive paycheck that transforms a family into a cast and a home into a set. They are not victims. They are willing participants in a lucrative business arrangement where their lives are the product. So when you're watching 7 Little Johnstons, when you feel that pang of sadness for Anna, that frustration with Trent, that joy for Elizabeth, remember what you are watching. Do not be fooled. You are not watching a documentary about a family. You're not getting a window into their authentic lives. You are watching a performance. You are watching a highly polished, carefully scripted, and deceptively edited television show, created by a team of professionals whose only job is to manipulate your emotions to keep you watching and keep the advertisers paying. You're watching a cast of actors who have gotten very, very good at playing themselves. The tears may look real, the fights may sound real, and the hugs may feel real, but the only thing that is truly 100% real is the paycheck they get for lying to you. The truth is out there, if you know how to look for it. Go back and watch the show with your new eyes. Look for the continuity errors, listen for the scripted lines, question the convenient camera angles. You will see it. The illusion will be shattered forever. Share this video with everyone you know who still believes. It's time to pull back the curtain for good. What do you think? Has your perception of the show been changed forever? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more truths that the networks don't want you to know.